Bring the lights down low, it's time to show. Lights, camera, you know what we mean. Behold the magic of the silver screen. Some movies rock, some movies shock. They're powerful, alright. We cover them all on your favorite part. So many movies we can choose. Even when you win, you lose. Life moves pretty fast. Some will fizzle and some movies last. I understood there would be no math. It's the 30-something movie podcast. Be excellent to each other. Peace out and word to your mother. They're from the best decades. Movie magic that never fades. Lightsabers clash, phasers set to stun. Action packed from dusk till dawn. We have deep thoughts and questions three. Come share our love of the movies we see. Life moves pretty fast. Some will fizzle and some movies last. I understood there would be no math. It's the 30-something movie podcast.
Gentlemen, start your engines and customize your cars because we've got a very special episode this time around. It's not one of our 10th anniversary rewatches. It's not a regular episode for the month of November. This one we kind of picked out. It's a little bit of a different one for us because typically we're talking movies, and this time around we're movie and TV adjacent with this episode.
Yes.
So we have got, and I made sure that at least one of my car aficionados is on this one with me. Otherwise, I'm going to sound like a complete idiot talking about this topic. Unfortunately,
No.
Bo was not able to be with us. So, Bo, we miss you. And
Yes, we do.
Anytime in a future episode, Bo, if you want to chime in on any of this, please feel free. We'll try to remember and at least get a few minutes so you can comment on this one. But Pat is here with me. It's Pat.
Hey.
Pat,
That wasn't the Pat drop. I
Pat-
should have done the Pat drop.
That's okay. You have your own Pat drop.
Well, there you go.
It typically sounds something like this.
Rejected your question.
Or
You've been Pat-splained.
I don't think we've done I don't think we've.
Dreamweaver.
I believe you can get me through the night.
There are a number of Pat drops. I don't think we've done the you've been Pat-splained in a while. I don't think I've done some Pat-splaining in a
no,
while.
you might not have. We kind of like you've toned down on that a little bit.
Yeah.
This is kind of
Yeah.
like I think doing all those drops at once. Isn't this when the guys we listen to on The Greatest Generation? Isn't this when somebody sends in like a priority one message and just says, expend all ordnance?
Yeah, exactly.
And they just play everything.
They pay their money and they just want to hear the drops, right? Which is I get it. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had $100, I might write in and at least get the roll Aaron drop.
Yeah.
Or how does Patrick Stewart roll Allen?
Yeah.
Well, you got to you have to roll some of those letters. I don't know what they are, but
But that accent is just amazing that he has.
Roll Allen. You know what you have to be able to say that? You almost can't be human and say that correctly. You have to be a completely different kind of
species.
So.
Yes.
I'm going to get my money's worth, even though it didn't cost me anything. I'm getting my money's worth out of that species button.
That species button is good.
I'm going to use it every
If you
chance
got
I get.
it. Yeah.
It's like it's when you ask people, why did you climb the mountain? Because it was there.
Exactly.
Why did you push the species button? Because it's there.
It was there.
Yeah. We're not here to talk about species tonight. We're actually here to talk about custom cars. Because the person in question here is George Barris. And when originally I thought of this idea for this episode is because we had taken the kids, and they had not been before, we took the kids to the Volo Auto Museum.
Yes.
And
that place is fantastic.
That is fantastic. If anybody listening to this is ever in the Chicago area and you want to trudge a little north of Chicago, I don't know what trudge is. That's where you're trudging, but also trying to drain something at the same time. You're dredging and trudging. So as long as you're dredging and
What
trudging,
was
you're
who was the explosion guy from the last episode?
that was Flash Bangwell.
Flash Bangwell.
Flash
His
Bangwell.
assistant is Tredge.
Tredge. Yes, he's a weird, creepy looking little guy. He's it's almost like a Fantasy Island kind of thing.
Yes.
It's like, hey boss, the debris. Yeah.
I was going to say da boom.
Da boom,
but,
there you go.
Whatever.
Yeah. There's Flash right there. So, yeah. So anyway, when we were there, I remember seeing a couple of different signs next to some of the cars that were talking about George Barris. And I happened to notice that his birth date was in 1925. And I was like, oh, he's not alive anymore. But I'm looking at it going, wait a minute, this year would have been his 100th birthday. Why don't we do a quick little episode on George Barris? And if people are not aware of who he is, then we can spread the word. Because not only is this his 100th birthday year, if he was still alive, he's a local boy. He was born in Chicago.
Good for him.
So that's exciting. He, not too long, I believe, after he was born, he ended up moving to California because I believe his mother passed away fairly soon after he was born. And he and his slightly older brother, I think 1 year older, Sam Barris, who worked together to customize these cars, they got sent to live with their aunt and uncle in California. And so that's, I think, how he ended up out in the California area. And basically, as a kid, what I was able to learn about him is that as a kid, he started to put together like balsa wood model cars. As he was growing up, he started to learn metalwork. He was sweeping floors at a local auto body shop after school. He was working part-time at his family's Greek restaurant. And eventually, at some point, he and his brother were given a kind of busted up 1925 Buick. And they decided that they were going to restore it together, ended up customizing its appearance, and then ended up selling it for a profit. And they were going to use that money for the next project car they were going to do. And before they even graduated high school, George and Sam had formed the Customs Car Club. They spell custom with a K. They joined the Customs Car Club, and that was where they kind of started this idea of we're going to modify vehicles, and that's going to become our life's work. And their shop, I mean, that ended up becoming kind of the trademark of their shop, Barris Customs. They moved to Los Angeles. They opened up the Barris Customs shop. And then after Sam finished serving in the Navy, I believe, they set up shop and they created Barris Customs in 1946.
Okay.
So that's kind of some of the backstory of George and Sam Barris and kind of how they got started. So where this comes into, why are you you may ask yourself, why are the 30-something movie podcast people talking about this George Barris guy and custom cars? Because ain't they a movie podcast? Yes, they ain't. They is. They
isn't.
Isn't.
No,
I tried too hard to go with like the vernacular, and I lost it. As an English teacher, I struggle when things go wrong.
Hey, we can only do what we can do.
Right. Yeah. Wasn't that a scene from the Three Amigos? You could kiss me on the vernacular.
I think it was the Veranza.
Lips will be fine. Yeah. It's a V word. Whatever it is, I don't know. The veranda. That's yes. So what they started doing, they started working with some custom designs and pretty quickly drawing the interest of Hollywood studio executives, stars who wanted personalized custom cars for themselves. I believe if all the stuff I tried to do some research on, if it's all correct, if I did my research properly, then I believe some of his earliest work for a film was creating some soft aluminum fenders for a police car in North by Northwest.
Okay.
And so they were trying to figure out a way to, in the scenes they were filming, to prevent any kind of serious damage to the car when it crashed into a Mercedes-Benz. So that was one of the first movies that he worked on. And he was, if you watch any interviews, there's a bunch of interviews with him on YouTube, And this guy is a master at self-promotion.
Okay.
He made friends with the founder of Hot Rod Magazine,
Mhm.
and he was consistently contributing how-to articles and features in like Hot Rod Magazine, Motor Trend, and then eventually, he started working in film and TV. And I think in the '60s was really when things hit because Barris Customs really became heavily involved in TV production in the '60s. You had they did cars for the Munsters, the Beverly Hillbillies, and all of these shows had some very unique vehicles that they used, and that's where we ended up seeing some of these at the Volo Auto Museum.
Yeah.
Was whether they were the originals or whether they were replicas. It was all kind of based on the designs that they had done for this. So,
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
doing a lot
that
of
talk.
I'm doing a lot of talking. So I want to stop for just a second and let you jump in.
Well, and again, I'm learning of this individual. I mean, I know the name, but I'm excited to kind of like tag along tonight and just kind of learn a little bit more about it. But I know that California, big with the hot rodding culture,
Mm-hmm.
especially coming out of the Second World War. Um, you know, and you get a whole group of individuals that have mechanical know-how, and that was right when, I mean, everything was very. My understanding of it was very much like, to say the garage mechanic sounds like a disparaging comment, and I don't mean that, but it was like you could go out and you could like, I'm gonna chop this off my car. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
add this on. I'm gonna take this custom piece and do this. I'm gonna hot rod the motor. I'm gonna, and there were all different kinds of things that you could do, to your vehicle. Motorcycles were big with that too, right?
Yeah.
And 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 not to say that you can't do it now, because I think that it is very possible, but now things have advanced to the point where, it's computers and hop up parts and all that. And that actually, that actually, that's coming out more negative than I wanted to. I think so many of these things have advanced now, 60, 70 years on from when the whole car culture, and hot rodding culture came out, that a lot of these folks that were getting started with that are now, their names are associated with like a parts, well, I'll say a parts catalog, but like a shop or a store or something. You know what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm.
you go back far enough, and all these things that are like icons in car culture, and car culture was really growing up at this time, coming out of the Second World War, right?
Yeah.
And I think that suddenly you get people coming back from war. You've got disposable income, like, I mean, so much um, production was ramped up. You have all these vehicles. You're coming out of, not the word, not embargo, rationing
Mm-hmm.
of all these things. So, gasoline was cheap. Um, so I think the car culture, especially in California, really grew up. And I think that the technology at the time was such that you could be like, and it might be a little bit more of a romanticized look, but you could be very much the person out in their garage, kind of figuring things out. What happens if I cut this off? What happens if I add this on? What happens if I change the exhaust? And and you could experiment and really do some cool things with cars. Um, the idea of the custom scene, you want to make your car look different, right?
Right.
Like low riders, hot rods, street rods. There was so much, going on at this time before, this is before like the 1960s and the muscle car era. But I mean, you just have so much of this going on. And and I think now the guys that were starting back then doing these like, things in their garages, that's grown, and now we would know them as like names, like company names, right? Because it's
Mm-hmm.
grown up to the point to where we are now that it's developed into this whole culture and industry and so forth. And so I think Barris came out of that. If my understanding is correct, he came out of that, and being in California, you're right there, easy to be noticed by Hollywood. So your work, gets in the movies or in the TV shows, and you get noticed and you get that name recognition.
Yeah. Yeah. What's fun about a lot of his work that he did, some of his most famous vehicles and some of like the projects that he worked on, it is such a fun list of cars. Um, and
Let's shoot down it. Let's get
yeah,
the highlights out there.
yeah. I'm gonna skip probably the most famous one because I want to come back to that later. But running down the list of some of his most famous projects, he did the Munster Koach from the TV series The Munsters. He had a couple of cars. He did the Munster Koach, and this one was the 18-foot long hearse-like car that was built from my notes I've got here is built from the bodies of 3 Model T Fords with a Mustang GT engine.
Hmm.
He built the Dragula from the Munsters. That was Grandpa Munster's custom dragster. It was made from a real fiberglass coffin with a gold organ pipes for an exhaust and a Ford 289 Mustang V8 engine.
Awesome.
The Beverly Hillbillies truck from the Beverly Hillbillies. That was a custom truck for the Clampett family, and that was the one they see in the opening credits. It was based on a 1921 Oldsmobile truck.
Hmm.
He did not design the original kit from Knight Rider, but he was brought in to help design the kit's Super Pursuit mode and convertible version that show up in, I think, season 4, if I got that right, of Knight Rider based on the Pontiac Trans Am.
Okay.
There was a 1977 movie called The Car, and the car was kind of a sinister looking vehicle, heavily customized from a 1969 Lincoln Mark III sedan. One of the most fun ones is the Wagon Queen family truckster from National Lampoon's Vacation.
Okay.
And this is the one, it's the pea green, metallic pea green with the wood paneling, like the car they end up buying that they're going to take the road trip on, based on a 1979 Ford LTD Country Squire.
Hmm.
And it is, I mean, just, I know in watching the movies, you see the car, but then to pull up photos and actually look at this car and look at some of the descriptions on it, and I didn't even realize, I never paid that much attention to the fact that this car has 8 headlights.
Hmm.
It's so stupid. It's like headlights and then like paneling in places that you don't need paneling, and just a ridiculously ugly cartoon looking kind of car.
It's hilarious.
It is, but it's so much fun, especially when you like start to read up on, that. And there's a couple of websites where other custom car makers have made replicas of it, and they've got photos of their entire process. And I mean, just this whole thing, the whole thing was modified to be a comically ugly looking car.
Yeah.
There was one of his more famous ones was called the Hirohata Merc. That was a private commission that he did. And that was, he built it from, I think he built it in 1953. It was from a 1951 Mercury Club Coupe. And that was kind of one of the first ones that really kind of helped define him as a car customizer.
Okay.
And I think that one and this might actually be the only one he has left. There was a fire in his shop in the 1950s, I think. And he lost almost all of his cars except for one.
Oh, geez.
And the car he did not lose that he has shown, when I checked some of the YouTube videos, he takes this with him when he goes to different car shows. There was one that he had called the a la carte. And that was a customized 1929 Model A Ford Roadster pickup that he's won a bunch of awards with, and it shows up in movies and magazines and all kinds of stuff. And so that, I think, is when he had that fire, that was the only one he had left. And
Okay.
it sounds like from an interview I was listening to with him, sounds like when he had that fire, he basically was like, I've lost everything. I'm going to give up. I'm not going to do this anymore. And then they realized that the fire had not reached this little like separate garage that they had behind the rest of the custom shop, and the a la carte car, that 1929 Model A Ford was in that little garage that had not been touched by the fire. And that was what he's like, well, I got one left. So I guess some of his friends and some other people were like, nope, you got one car left. Like, that's a sign that you got to keep doing this because you're good at it.
Yeah.
People love your stuff. You can't let this fire, take you out of the game. You got to keep doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, good.
yeah. His most famous car and this is my favorite one out of all of them, came from a 1955 Lincoln Futura concept car.
Okay.
And it was a concept car because I think he was working with I think he was working with Ford at the time, going around sometimes and showing off these concept cars at shows and things like that. And so he got contacted. They were doing this TV show and they needed a car and they needed something that looked kind of futuristic. Wanted it to be different than what you had found in the source material that this TV show came from. And so for this one, I found a little bit of an interview with George Barris that was on found it on YouTube, and so I'm actually going to let him talk about this car because he'll tell a little bit of the story of how this whole thing kind of came together and how he had a very limited time frame to be able to finish this car. So we'll kick it over to George and let him explain about my favorite of his custom jobs.
Batman with that script was just absolutely fascinating because he had a whole different concept. Pow, bang, wow. And when I went to him, he says, well, I got to have a 20th century crime fighter Batmobile in the 60s. Now, we didn't have computers. We didn't have all the electronic special effects that you have today. We had to have everything kind of happen with what was there to work with. So to take that Batmobile, or this car that we had to make into a Batmobile, I didn't want to follow Bob Kane. Bob Kane, who's the creator of the Batman series, he cut out a bat face and stuck it on the front of a Lincoln Zephyr. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't creative. I said, I want to incorporate your bat features into the car. I don't want it to be a cutout. I want the ears to be part of the fenders. I want the headlights to become the eyes. And then I had to incorporate, as the car went down, became a 20-foot car. I made big, long, but aerodynamic bat fins. I didn't have fins way up in the air. It became more aerodynamic. And of course, being that it was a Batman and Robin, I had a double cockpit with plastic tunnels. And then we had rocket tubes coming out of the back, and the V projector went into a jet nozzle, which is supposed to simulate a jet engine, which we didn't have. And the sides had opening wheel wells. But I had to build this car on a time period. That means they said, George, you got 3 weeks. I said, well, I don't have a basic car, and I don't want to hand build a car. So I had a concept car from Ford because I was touring for Ford Custom Car Caravan. So I had that basic body. I said, okay, I can change this body real quick for the 3-week schedule time to make it a Batmobile.
Yeah, so he had 3 weeks to put this thing together. And it's that Batmobile. I had a little Hot Wheel version of that as a kid. And between watching the TV show and having that little Hot Wheel, that was my favorite. I might even still have it somewhere. But that was one of my favorite toys I had. That was one of my favorite cars from any TV show or movie growing up. If I had to, we've talked about this before. We've talked about like some of our favorite movie cars, and the '89 Batman Batmobile, one of my absolute favorites out of all those. But there's something just very special about the '60s Batmobile. It's just such a cool car.
It is, and beautiful. And it's fun hearing him describe all the thought that goes into it.
Mm-hmm.
And he only had 3 weeks to do it, but you could tell he's like, this is what I wanted, and this is how it was going to be, and it's going to fit in with that. And you hear the art of it come out, but then the practicality of, okay, how am I going to do it? All right, I'm going to take this and I'm going to customize, even that little interview, it was very cool hearing how like his mind works to make these awesome creations.
Yeah. Yeah, but that one is so much fun. Such a fun car. And just all the details that he talks about putting into it. There was a little bit more of that interview that I kind of edited out some different sections, but just so much going into all the little details of that car. And what I found was, it's definitely probably, you could argue it's one of the most famous cars in TV and movie history.
Yeah.
And the original sold at an auction in 2013. I don't know if this is like the last time it was sold, but the original sold at an auction in 2013 for $4.62 million.
Of course.
That's crazy.
Remember the movie Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah.
When he, in that movie, spoilers, when he finally makes it as the rock star, I think that's the car he buys. And so he's driving around in that movie in that Batmobile.
Yes.
I thought that was an awesome bit of business.
Yeah. Yeah, I had forgotten about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, he had, I mean, and not just the Batmobile, as we mentioned, they're kind of tons of other cars. We listed a bunch of these, tons of other cars that he put together. And then a bunch of celebrities too. He made cars for, I had like a running list of different people he had made cars for. He did a car for Elvis Presley. He customized a Cadillac limousine for him. Sonny and Cher, he customized matching custom Mustangs for them. Let's see, Zsa Zsa Gabor, he had custom gold Rolls Royce that he did for her.
That's so cool.
Dean Martin, he customized a Cadillac Eldorado station wagon. John Wayne, he customized several Pontiac station wagons. And that was used, I guess. John Wayne wanted these custom station wagons to kind of transport some of his hunting and fishing gear when he'd go hunting and fishing.
Okay.
And then Bob Hope, I guess, had him create a custom golf cart for him.
Okay.
And then Elton John had him customize several cars. Had him customize what was called a mini moke. And I didn't know what that was until I looked it up. It was like a 1950s British military. It's almost like a little mini Jeep looking kind of thing.
Oh, okay. I can imagine.
Yeah, it's like it's little. There's no doors. And yeah, it was, I think, originally designed for the military, but later it was like, this is a fun little car. If you want like this little teeny tiny car that you can drive around, it's not quite a Jeep, but so he had him customize some of those. He also had him customize a golf cart that featured some star-shaped, oversized sunglasses, like the kind that Elton John would wear.
Okay.
So yeah, just a bunch of, I mean, he's got connections with celebrities, all over the place. And I mean, from what I understand, he was still going to shows. He was still, giving interviews, doing all kinds of stuff up until not too long before he passed away. He passed about 10 years ago in 2015.
Okay.
And it seems like he was pretty involved. There's another interview where he talks about, being excited about like the next generation of customizers. And he would try to sometimes work with these young kids that were up and coming to like, pass on the stuff he had learned. And, it sounds like like I've said before, I know nothing about cars. Like I can't work on a car. I don't know anything about cars. I am not the person you call if you need any help working on your car. But I can appreciate, just in much the same way I can't play an instrument, I can still appreciate the music. Like
Right.
there's music. I love music and I can appreciate it. I know nothing about what goes into it. I can't do it myself. Same thing with this. Like I look at these cars, I look at these vehicles that they've created. I look at that and I go, that is outstanding. I understand nothing about how you made this happen, but please continue.
Right. Well, and it's funny as you're describing this, and you mentioned the time that he was active right up until there was that real big run of those shows. You remember like
Yeah.
American Chopper, the
Yes.
guys that would all get
Mhm.
together and yell at each other about making motorcycles, and then there was American Hot Rod, and then
Yeah.
that there was a real, thing for that in the early aughts, early 2010s maybe.
Mhm.
As well, where it would just show these shops get together and they would build these things. And, this guy was like, that kind of brings it to popular culture, but this guy is like the genuine article.
Yeah.
And you're exactly right. Like, first of all, just the designing of customs. And sometimes, you get some customs that are aren't completely outlandish. I mean, they're really nice styles, just not just with his work, but like anybody's. And then you get, excuse me, you get some that are, you know, okay, this is meant to be over the top, right? Okay, you're designing the car for the Munsters, that's supposed to be over the top. But then you see some of his other work that it's just tasteful and just beautiful things. Um, and you're right, you watch people do that, and it's almost like anything when people make things look so simple, you're like, oh, I could do that. I could assemble that,
Yeah.
And it's really, or these guys will get these cars and restore them or modify them and hop them up in certain ways and it and they make it look so easy, which obviously is one, when you're really really skilled you can do that, and two is, as we watch it on TV, obviously the TV does create a bit of editing to make everything fit concisely into a hour time block and so forth. The point is that yeah, I agree with you. Watching what these folks can do with vehicles and fabricating parts to put on the, and it's just awesome.
Yeah.
It's just really cool.
Yeah, as I was doing a little bit of research, there was another name that came up who passed away actually not too long after George Barris, much younger, but passed away. I think the next year after George Barris passed away was Eddie Paul. That was another name
Okay.
that came up, and Eddie Paul was also he was the owner of EP Industries Incorporated, and that he was also well known for customized cars. And his list, I knew you'd appreciate some of this. He started off as being a stuntman, working for
Mm.
several years at doing stunts. And actually, when we were talking just a few days ago, when we were doing Cutthroat Island, one of the other pirate movies that we mentioned was Ice Pirates. He actually did stunts in the movie Ice Pirates.
Perfect.
But what he is also well known for is he worked on some TV shows like Dukes of Hazzard. I don't know if he did anything with the car, but he might have done some stunts for Dukes of Hazzard. But cars he is known for working on are some of the cars in the movie Grease.
Okay.
He did some work customizing some of the cars in The Fast and the Furious.
Okay.
The movie Taxi. Was that Vin Diesel that did the movie Triple X?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he did some cars for Triple X. He did Gone in 60 Seconds. And then initially, when they were doing promotion for the Pixar movie Cars, he did custom vehicles that were actual cars made to look like Lightning McQueen, Mater, and Sally from those movies. He actually created some
fun.
of those custom cars to look like the characters from the animated movie. So he's like another well-known character. Like, I'm looking at the names of all these guys doing this custom work on these cars, and like, we've seen so much of their work. I know when we list off all the people that work in the movies, we list off the actors, we list off the producers, the editors, the cinematographers, the composers, all that stuff. This is a lot of stuff we don't tend to talk much about, but you've seen their work. Even if you don't know if you've seen their work, you've seen their work. Because if I just listed off, any of those movies, I think you'd have a hard time finding somebody that had not seen Grease, Fast and the Furious, Taxi, Triple X, Gone in 60 Seconds, Cars, Dukes of Hazzard, and then switch over to George Barris, Batman, National Lampoon's Vacation, The Munsters, Knight Rider, like all of this stuff, especially if you grew up in the time that we grew up and this was kind of the stuff that you were raised on, you've seen these guys work. So even if you don't know if you've seen their work, you've seen these guys work, and it's outstanding.
Yeah. And you've seen the work, even if we're not talking about the time period that we grew up in, you've seen their influence on the people who do the work for movies now.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like we talked about when we got talking about stunt people, I mean, yes, the actors and actresses bring the character to life. But when you talk about movement, the stunt performers bring that character to life almost just as much, like watching them move, whether that's watching them fight, watching them run, watching them, jump over an explosion, right? Like that's an epic part of bringing these characters to life as well. And when we talked about bringing those stunt, talking about the stunt actors or stunt doubles or whatever the name is, but I think cars are such a part of the culture and so much a part of the movies that we watch. The people that create those things, um, you know, they bring an epic part of that story to life as well. Think of the new Batman movie, when the Tumbler first appears,
Mhm. Yeah.
and I mean that thing, wow. But it's like you don't even have a clue. You know who Christopher Nolan is, who Christian Bale is,
Right.
but like who's the guy that did or the gal that did the person? Who's the person that did the Tumbler, right? Like that's an epic part of those Batman stories. So yeah, you're right. Like that's there's a lot of people that bring these things to life, movies and the stories.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
we got to recognize.
Yeah. That one, I don't know if he was the customizer or I found that name real quick. It was, oh shoot, I had it and I just lost it. The guy, Nathan Crowley, was the guy that designed the
Right?
tumbler in the Batman
Okay.
movies. Yeah. Designed it kind
Yeah.
of based off of, there was the comic book, The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller.
Hmm.
And that was, that kind of Batmobile. It was more of like a tank kind of Batmobile in that one. Yeah. And those Batmobiles are awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's such fun stuff. Like just all the customizations they do. Before we wrap up, I was going to ask you, because like I said, you're much more the car person than I am.
Mhm.
Is there, other than some of the ones we've talked about, is there either in a movie or a TV show or one you've seen out in the wild somewhere? Is there a custom car that you've seen that has been your favorite? Like, because I know sometimes you go to car shows, you've gone to, other things like this, or you've seen some out in the wild. Um,
I,
have you?
are you saying designed by Barris
No,
or
no,
just
just in general.
custom cars?
Yeah,
Well,
in general. Yeah.
I mean, if we're talking cars, the Bullet Mustang is always going to have a special place in my heart.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
that's always going to be the car that catches my eye.
Mhm.
And that Mustang is just a cool car. And then especially the one they did for Bullet, the way they customized it to really represent, Bullet, Detective Bullet.
Yeah.
Was it Frank Bullet? Um, and the so that's pretty cool. On a side note, I listened to this person talk about Formula One. His name is Peter Windsor,
Hmm.
and he's like, I mean, ever since I mean, Peter Windsor's, was a fan of the sport back in the 60s and then became working in Formula One in the 70s and 80s. And then, on the teams and up through the 90s, and then became a journalist. And now he does a podcast several times a week. And boy, he just breaks Formula One down, in a way that's just, I mean, the amount of information he can present in an understandable way just totally makes you see the game within the game,
Yeah.
um, kind of thing, or the race within the race, or the game within the, however the right way to say it. One of the things he talks about in his podcast, he's sponsored by, and I wish I remembered the name of it, but it's a watch company that will use bits of cars, race cars, or whatever, and put that into the DNA of their watch.
Mm.
And so you can get you can get they make a series of watches that include, you know, bits of the Lotus that Senna drove in the mid 80s, right? Or, you get, and it'll take little bits from, like the exhaust manifold from, his Formula One car, and it goes into the watch. And it's kind of a cool concept. Um, and he'll talk about these things. Anyways, the latest ones that this custom watch company is doing contain bits of one of the original Bullet Mustangs,
Yeah.
and I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, that car was always just so cool. The engine sounded great, and I wish I was knowledgeable enough to say, oh yeah, well they put a such and such exhaust pipe on it, and they tuned the motor and the da, da, da. But that car just sounded great. It looked great, and you know, so I'd say of any custom cars out there, I mean that one's got to be really at the top of the list is the Bullet Mustang. I've always been a sucker for the street rod thing,
Mm-hmm.
like John Milner's car, the T-Bucket Roadsters. I always thought rat rods were really cool. I love the concept of that. Um, I always thought those cars were really fantastic. Um, yeah, that I mean those would kind of be my favorites. I don't have a specific that's like a name that people would know. I mean, other than the Bullet Mustang.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think those are pretty cool. And I'm trying to keep it to like actual like, car customs,
Mhm.
as opposed to just saying, oh, the Dodge Charger. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, kind of going along those lines, the General Lee, the idea that the
Mhm.
doors were shut for safety, I
Right,
mean, I
yeah.
love that. But just that whole thing of they had to get in through the windows.
Yeah.
I, I mean, that's just growing up, you think that's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I suppose those would be my favorite cars. I mentioned, all the Batmobiles, like the Tumbler, that thing's really cool. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty much that.
That's the one that and not being a car guy, I've always said, there are certain cars that if I could own a particular car and if I, had the money to be able to get the car to look exactly the way I wanted it to look, and I would probably need the insides, the innards, the guts of the car to be, something a little bit more modern that I wouldn't have to work on because
Hmm.
I'm definitely not doing much of any work on anything. The one car that I've always loved, and if I could get anywhere near, the pickup truck version of it or this one itself, is the ZZ Top Eliminator car,
Hmm.
the 33 Ford Coupe. And
Hmm.
the story behind that one is fun too because Billy Gibbons, one of the long bearded guys from ZZ Top, he is actually a hot rod guy. He's a car guy, and
Yeah.
when he got a hold of I was reading up and um, he saw a 34 coupe in the movie California Kid with Martin Sheen in it,
Hmm.
and he kind of fell in love with it. So he was able to find one, and once he found a 33 Ford, he's like, I got to have this, and we got to work on this. And he got connected up with a bunch of different. First of all, he got connected up with, some people that were kind of well known in the, kind of the hot rod and customizing game. And then when they would decide he was going to work on it himself, he's like, well, I'm going to work on this and have, this guy kind of oversee it for me. And then pretty soon he was like, well, I think it's maybe going to need to be more than me working on this. And so they ended up getting like a bunch of other apparently big name people in the hot rod world to kind of
Hmm.
join together and do, different bits and pieces and parts of the car, to the point where you get that famous, red, like cherry red 33 Ford Coupe with the ZZ painted on the side of it, and the
Hmm.
one it's on the
Hmm.
cover of the Eliminator album. It was in the what videos was it in? I know it was in Legs. I think it was in Sharp Dressed Man. Um, might have been in some of the other ones, the music videos that came out for that one. But um, yeah, I don't know much about cars or custom cars, but that has been one. That's been a car that I have absolutely been fascinated with ever since I was a little kid.
Yeah. No, that's a pretty slick car. And you don't have to, you don't ton about them. Whatever catches your eye, right?
Right.
I, as you were talking, going into like movie cars, I really like in the Road Warrior. I like the V8 Interceptor, right? Like he
Mm,
drove.
mhm.
Remember, he had the last of the V8 Interceptors,
Yeah.
and then Mad Max shows where he gets it. But I always thought that thing looked cool,
Yeah.
you know, just kind of, all desert ready and all that kind of stuff. And it had that awesome supercharger. Um, I think it was a supercharger, or maybe it was just, which, yeah. and coming out of the hood and whatever, he threw that switch and that thing would spin up and it'd get that really piercing whine, and then things are going to go
Yep.
fast. And yeah, I thought that was great. I always thought those cars looked cool with the big the air intake for the supercharger coming out of the hood.
Yeah.
I mean the original Fast and the Furious, where he's got the charger with that big motor coming out of it. I'm kind of a sucker for that. Anytime the motor's powered enough that you blip the throttle and the whole engine, the whole car torques to the side.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool. But I'd say, yeah, those V8 Interceptor cars or the V8 Interceptor that Max drove around. What was his last name? Rakantaski? Matt. I forget. Anyways, Max from Mad Max. He
Rockatansky.
drove Rockatansky. Yeah. I always thought that was cool.
Yeah.
I always thought that was cool. I was kind of hoping, here we go, Mad Max Fury Road. Spoilers. Okay, you've been warned.
There you go.
I always wish that car hung on longer in those movies. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
It was
yeah.
always like, oh, not the car. Come
Right.
on.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was cool. Yeah, the Bullet Mustang, Max's car.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they're so cool. So cool.
Yep.
So I'm glad we had a chance to talk about George
Yeah.
Barris and kind of like get the name out there a little bit, and like we ourselves learned a little bit more about him. I saw his name on one of the signs at the Volo Museum, and I'm like, 1925, 100 years.
Yeah.
He made the Batmobile. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
What other reason do you need? So, but yeah, it's a lot of fun to learn about him. To learn about his role in, I don't know if you want to say he kickstarted or established the kind of specialty vehicle design in Hollywood, but he definitely is a major figure in it if he's not the one that started it.
Yeah.
And so many of his cars, like when you think about those cars, it's basic. And sometimes we say this about other things in movies. It's like the car ends up being a character itself.
Of course.
It's a member of the cast just as much as anybody else. Just as much as you remember Adam West as Batman, you remember that Batmobile as being practically a character in that TV show. Last thing I was going to mention is his shop in North Hollywood actually has become kind of a pilgrimage site for car enthusiasts, and the street that it's on, I believe I saw somewhere, was renamed George Barris Place.
Awesome.
And so I think it's still there. I think somebody is still running it, still doing custom work out of it. So, so if anybody's headed to North Hollywood at some point and this is something, if this is a topic that you love, and maybe definitely check that out. George Barris Designs and George Barris Place. So now you know a little bit more about it. So if anybody's headed to North Hollywood, go check it out and let us know what you see.
Yeah, certainly. Definitely do that.
Yeah.
And you're exactly right that it is a character. And I'm just going to say spoilers. Well, I don't know if I want to spoil movies, but think of any movie where something happens to the vehicle and you're bummed. It's like, no, you can't. No, that's not right.
Right. Not the car.
Right. Exactly.
What was it? I want to say there was Saturday Night Live. That reminded me of, there was a Saturday Night Live with John Belushi, and he was playing the Godfather, Don Corleone, in Therapy. And he's talking to his therapist, and they tell us a little bit about like what's been bothering you. He's like, they blew up Michael's wife and lovely car. Like, yes. You meant lovely what? No, lovely car. Okay, all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, awesome stuff. All right, well, that is going to do it for this episode. Before we let you go, though, since we are so close to the end of the month of November, we figured we might wet your whistle just a little bit and let you know what's coming up in December. So our last month of 1995 movies is coming up here real quick. So this next week, After this episode comes out, we are going to finish up November with our high seas adventure movies, and it is Sandra Bullock in the Net. So that one is coming up soon. Over on Patreon, we've done Rocky Horror Picture Show from 1975 and Alien Earth from 2025. So head on over and check those out. If you're looking for any of the other episodes from this month, go to 30podcast.com. Check it out for there. Get them wherever you get your podcasts. This month has been Crimson Tide, Waterworld, and Cutthroat Island up to this point. And then next month, our final month of 1995 movies, our Patreon episodes, we are hitting its 60th anniversary. We are doing Thunderball, the James Bond movie Thunderball from 1965 will be our Patreon episode for this last month of the year. Our Patreon short will be The Last Dragon from 1985, one of the classic kung fu movies of the 80s with Shonuff, the Shogun of Harlem. So don't miss that one.
Love it. And John, you just mentioned Thunderball, James Bond. How have we not talked about his Aston Martin DB5?
I know. Well, there's so
in
many
the custom cars. I mean, that is like a glaring oversight right there.
Well, we'll talk about it when we get to Thunderball.
Yes,
we'll definitely take a few moments and talk about some of the Aston Martins and the Bond cars.
Yeah, those are pretty fantastic. I've read an article about the ones that they built for the Daniel Craig movies because that works its way back in.
Yeah,
and there was one time when I was in that twilight, like right before I fell asleep, where I'm like, I wonder if I could buy one of those because that would be awesome. Then you wake up and you see the price tag and you're like,
right,
that's totally not going to happen.
It's never going to happen.
But man, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. All right, and then some of our regular episodes. So I'm looking at the regular episodes for December, and there are sometimes where we get to December, and I'm like, we just got a bunch of leftover movies. I don't know what theme to put them in, so here you go. Here's the leftovers, just in time for Christmas. This month, not so much. December is action adventure movies, and this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 punch of movies. 6 movies over the course of not to mention the Patreon and the Patreon short, but 6 movies for the month of December. Pat, are you ready for them?
I am prepared, John. My soul is prepared.
Okay.
How's yours?
We're going to start off with Johnny Depp and Christopher Walken in Nick of Time. That kicks off December. And then if that hasn't punched you in the face, well, we're going to punch you in the face even more with Batman Forever.
Oh, boy.
And then once you've been just completely knocked out by Batman Forever, we're going to give you a 10th anniversary rewatch, our last one for the year, and we're going to do Ghostbusters 1984.
Oh, that's fantastic. Ecto 1. Another custom car that we did not mention.
I know. And so once we've done Ghostbusters, we're going to hit you with a little Judge Dredd and Sylvester Stallone.
I am the law.
The irony is, I didn't put this one as the last movie of the month. I should have put it because then I could say, finish him. Mortal Kombat.
Okay, we're going to have a serious discussion about which character you played when you were playing the original stand-up coin-op for that one.
Because I was never good at doing the combination moves.
Mortal Kombat was more accessible, though, I always felt.
It definitely was. It was more accessible than needing to know like the combination moves for Street Fighter 2. Yeah. So I had one character. When we get there, we'll talk about it. I had one character in particular that I always chose because his special move was very easy to do. So that was my go-to. And then we're going to end the year with this little movie you might have heard of. We're doing our Patreon as Thunderball from 1965. We're going to end the year with this little movie you might have heard of called Goldeneye.
Oh, wow.
So that'll be our last one of 1995. We'll end the year with Goldeneye just in time for New Year's Eve. In fact, those last 2 movies, Mortal Kombat, that's going to come out on Christmas Eve. So a lovely little holiday gift for you. And then Goldeneye will come out on New Year's Eve. So you can end the year with something special.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Feel free to, you can end the year with Famke Janssen.
Yeah. There you go.
Hold on. I should have had this queued up already. So there it is. We're not. I mean, sometimes we go out with movies that's like, yeah, this is what we have left over. But we're going to end the year on a top.
Mm-hmm. You were winding up for that one.
I no, actually, that was another one I just thought of. Maybe
Are
like
you serious?
it's
Look at
like
that.
half a mile ago. It wasn't a full mile, so you couldn't see it coming a mile away. It's like at the very least half, maybe 3/4 of a mile.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
it's I'm getting old and I forget things, but some of the pistons are firing. I don't know which ones, but some of them fire sometimes.
Right.
So and that's the only thing I know about cars too. So all right, Patrick, thank you so much for being here with me.
John, thank you for hosting. Thanks for this great concept. It was
Yeah.
great to talk about George Barris and
Yeah.
what he's done. And like we said, I mean, sure, like in one sense, like probably extremely well known with some segments of society, but it's cool to talk about it and his effect on movies.
Yeah. Very much so. Okay, well now I'm gonna go. And I did notice the other day. I think it's on pre-order or pre-sale right now. McFarlane Toys, who makes some of the 6 or 7 inch larger action figures for
6, 7.
see, I didn't even pay attention.
There
to that
it
one.
is.
I know.
There it is.
You know.
Okay, McFarlane.
We're definitely middle school or high school teachers.
Yes, we are.
The McFarlane Toys, who does the the 6 inch DC action figures and stuff like that. I believe they are coming out with it's to scale with the 6 inch Batman figures that they have from the Batman 66 TV show. They are coming out with a scale action figure model of the 66 Batmobile.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, one does not have $80 sitting around, but if one did, so I might just go online and enjoy pictures of said Batmobile that
Yeah.
will not be on my shelf.
Yeah, there it is.
But you can enjoy the pictures.
Of course you can.
So
No logins.
I got a 3D printer. Maybe I could just 3D print myself a Batmobile.
3D print yourself a Batmobile.
I'm just gonna do that because what else? What else are you gonna use a 3D printer for?
Nothing good.
Yeah. So all right, you can only have so many Mandalorian helmets.
That's true.
I can't believe I just said that. That's not true at all.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, like Lego Batman said, my car only has one seat. Why? Because I only had one. Because last time I checked, I only have one
I
butt.
only have one butt. Yeah. Yeah. It's not the Amadeus thing of they're also beautiful. Why don't I have 3 heads?
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, Pat. As always, thank you so much for being here.
John, thank you so much.
All right, everybody, be excellent to each other. Go check out some George Barris designs. Go watch some Batman. Go watch some Munsters, some Beverly Hillbillies. Go check out one of these shows. Check out the convertible version of Kit if you want to see another design, or the super stealth mode or whatever it was called, super turbo mode or super
Pursuit mode.
super pursuit mode. That's what it was. I'm like super.
You remember Super Pursuit mode, right?
Yeah. Oh, I'm like Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo Extended something, whatever it was called.
Why not just come out with Street Fighter 3? I don't know.
But why? When we can name it to death, why do something silly like that? But anyway, be excellent to each other. Go check out some of George Barris's work. Check out some stuff online if you want to learn a little bit more about him. Really, really cool stuff. But thank you all for being here. Be excellent to each other, and we will see you back here next time with Sandra Bullock in The Net.
Bring the lights down low, it's time to show. Lights, camera, you know what we mean. Behold the magic of the silver screen. Some movies rock,